Hello students, in the last lecture we have discussed about the definition of natural vegetation. The concept natural vegetation we have discussed in the last lecture or in the last video. Now in this video we are going to see factors affecting on the diversity in flora and fauna. Means why do we have diversity in flora and fauna? That we are going to see. Now the first factor that affects on the diversity in flora and fauna, that is relief. In relief we have land. Now different kinds of land we have, plain, plateau, mountain, even some land we find as a fertile land, that is plain we consider. Most of the plain, it is modified by human being. Human being has brought this plain for agricultural purpose, and that's why whatever the flora, natural vegetation and wildlife was there in that region, it was disturbed. Understood? Apart from this, even we have some undulating land, rough terrain. Most of this land are converted into grassland, woodland we can say. Even some marshy land we have, wetland we have. In such areas also we find different kinds of vegetation. So in simple way we can say that land is an important factor that modify the natural vegetation as well as wildlife. So this is the first factor that affects the vegetation. Now the second factor that affects the vegetation, that is soil. We have different kinds of soil in our country. Different types of soil we find in our country. And these types we have, that is sandy soil, deltaic soil, black soil we have. Understood? That black even it is called as regular soil, red soil we have, mountain soil. So as per the types of soil, we have a different types of vegetation in our country. When you visit Rajasthan region, sandy soil, you will find thorny forest. When you visit deltaic soil, nearby West Bengal, mangrove forest, we find in this region. So such a way, soil affects vegetation as well as wildlife of that region. Now the third factor we have, that is climate. There are different elements of climate, we know it very well. Already we have studied in climate chapter. That is temperature, precipitation, humidity, photoperiod. We can consider they are the elements of climate. Now the first element, that is temperature. Now temperature, how it affects the vegetation. The character and extent of vegetation are mainly determined by temperature along with humidity in the air. Even the precipitation also affects. We will see the next point. The fall in the temperature, it affects the vegetation of that region. I can give here the best example, that is Himalayan mountain. When you see the foothills near about 1000-meter high, you will find tropical kinds of trees. But when you move to the higher altitude, we know that temperature decreases, and as the temperature decreases, even we find the variation in vegetation. You will find tropical, temperate, alpine, such a way changes in vegetation you will find because of temperature. Now the next factor, that is photoperiod. Now my dear students, you can see where do we have a more photoperiod? Generally in the tropical region. Near equator we have a more photoperiod. And when you move away from equator, you will find decrease in the photoperiod. So the variation in the duration of sunlight at different places is due to differences in latitude, altitude, season and duration of the day. Due to the longer duration of sunlight, trees grow faster in summer. Understood? So that near equatorial region, we will have more or dense vegetation as compared to temperate region or the frigid region. Understood? Because this region has more photoperiod as compared to temperate region. On the basis of this photoperiod, we have asked one question in our chapter, that is, why do we have southern slope of Himalaya dense vegetation as compared to northern slope? Because of the photoperiod we can consider. Because southern slope of Himalaya lies in the subtropical region, whereas northern slope of Himalaya lies in the temperate region. And we know it very well that subtropical or the tropical region has more photoperiod than temperate region. And that's why southern slope of Himalaya has dense vegetation as compared to northern slope of Himalaya. Because this sunlight is very much important for the growth of plants. Apart from photoperiod, even precipitation is also required for the growth of plant. We know it very well. And so the next factor we have, that is precipitation. Every life requires water for its growth. So the same way, areas of heavy rainfall, you will find dense vegetation as compared to areas having less rainfall. And that's why Rajasthan region has very less vegetation as compared to Meghalaya region, because this Meghalaya region has more precipitation or the rainfall we can consider. Now, talking about this, we have one more concept or one more question is asked in our text, that is, why do we have western slopes of Western Ghat more vegetation as compared to eastern slopes of Western Ghat? Now you can see here, my dear students, suppose this is a Western Ghat. Now this is the western side of Western Ghat and this is the opposite, that is eastern side of Western Ghat. Now consider this side. This is the western side of Western Ghat is considered as windward side, and we know that very well. Orographic rainfall you have studied already. Now, according to this concept, this region, as it is the windward side, it has a more precipitation because these winds carry moisture with it and they give rainfall in this region. But in the opposite side, it has less rainfall because it lies in the leeward side. So that western slopes of Western Ghat has more vegetation as compared to eastern slope of Western Ghat. Now the next factor that affects the vegetation, that is ecosystem. Now apart from precipitation, photoperiod, soil, land, even this ecosystem also affects the flora and fauna. How it affects? We know it very well that human being is also the part of ecosystem, and to fulfill his greed, he has modified this ecosystem on his way. Ecosystem is nothing but interdependence of plants and animals in a region. You will consider as ecosystem. I have given here the picture of ecosystem. How these plants, animals of this region, even the other factors, they are interdependent. When we disturb one part of the ecosystem, automatically the whole ecosystem get collapsed. Understood? So that this play a very important role. So in this lecture we have discussed about the factors affecting on the vegetation. The first factor we have seen, that is relief. In the relief we have seen land and soil, how they affects the vegetation. Afterwards, the next factor that affects the vegetation we have seen, that is climate. In the climate, how precipitation affects the vegetation, how photoperiod affects the vegetation, how temperature affects the vegetation. These points we have discussed. And the last factor that affects on vegetation, that is ecosystem. As we are the part of ecosystem, if one is disturbed, automatically other parts also get disturbed. So all these things we have discussed in this video. Now, in the next video, we will see about the types of vegetation. What are the types of vegetation we find in our country? Regarding this, we will see in the next video. So, I hope you understood the part. Thank you, students. Thank you very much.